When you think of culture, you probably think music, art, movies, a good show, or maybe the latest fashion. But at some point, culture stopped being just culture, and it started becoming a business model. Conflict became content, especially in politics. I think we all see the feuds online. Opinions became products, and attention became the currency that everything runs on. And whether people realize it or not, or like it or not, we're all operating inside that system right now. What used to be cultural disagreement has now become structured engagement. Because in today's world, outrage travels faster than agreement. And attention, unfortunately, it has become more valuable than alignment. So over time, culture didn't just evolve, it got optimized. And optimized for what? Well, for clicks, for shares, for reactions. My goodness, at this point, even for reactions to the reaction. So there was a shift, and it happened, but it wasn't random. It came from the way the platforms reward behavior. If something, let's say, makes people emotional, it performs better. If it divides opinion, then it spreads faster. And if it creates identity-based reactions, well, it definitely sustains itself longer. So slowly, without anyone really deciding it, at least not consciously, culture and conflict started merging. So let's talk about the business layer of it, because this is the part that a lot of people miss. Culture wars are not just cultural anymore. They are economic. Entire ecosystems depend on engagement generated through disagreement. Think about it. Media, politics, influencers, brands, and at this point, even institutions. Because attention drives revenue, and conflict drives attention. So, in many cases, the goal is not longer clarity. The goal is reaction. To be in the eye of as many people as possible to drive advertising, and that is why it gets monetized. The problem is when everything becomes a reaction, people stop engaging with ideas as ideas that can be, debated in a healthy way. They engage with ideas as identity signals. So instead of asking, do I agree with this? People start asking, what does agreeing with this say about me? And that changes the game. That changes everything completely, because now disagreement is not intellectual. It's personal. I worked in television. I know what gets ratings. So it's important to remember that a message is never just a message. It becomes interpreted through layers of audience expectation, institutional framing, and public reaction. And once something enters that cycle, it stops belonging to the person who said it. It becomes something else entirely. A narrative, a position, a symbol. You see? And when culture becomes disreactive, nuance gets punished. Complexity of an issue gets compressed. And everything gets pushed into one of two categories: for or against. Right or wrong, with us or against us. And that leaves very little room for actual understanding. One thing that I do think is urgent and concerning is how far these cultural wars are going for the pure purpose of earning money. Because we are truly in a spot right now where people are taking these cultural wars way too far. And as I recognize the importance of free speech, it is also important to consider how we handle the responsibility of communicating within culture. And at the end of the day, we have to be conscious of how we help our culture evolve, not devolve. So I'll leave you with this. What we call culture wars today isn't just your plain old disagreement. It is an entire system built around attention, identity, and reaction. It's like a phishing email. It is designed to grab your attention, trigger a response, and make you act before you even think. And the challenge now is not just participating in culture, but recognizing when culture is being shaped by incentives that have nothing to do with the truth. Because once you see that, you start engaging with it differently, not less, but more wisely.